My name is Grace, and I love going for runs on the beach. There's something about the sound of the waves crashing against the shore that just makes me feel alive. I usually go about twice a week, and since I only live about 30 minutes away, there's no reason not to take advantage of it. When you see the sun setting, the beach looks like such a peaceful place, but at night, it takes on a whole different atmosphere. The waves seem louder, and the sand feels colder. I always make sure to bring a flashlight with me, just in case. Although I'm not the type to believe in stranger danger, I always get a little bit nervous when I'm running by myself at night. This is mainly exasperated by my roommates, and tonight was no different.
Don't go again, Gracie. Grace! You know when it gets dark, bad things happen. Katie, you know I'm safe, and you know I can take care of myself. I know, girlie, just be safe out there, and make sure you don't get carried away with your audiobooks.
She's always been the overprotective type, but I love her for it. After saying goodbye to Katie, I headed out the door and down to the beach. I started to run and everything was going great. The moon was out and the waves were crashing rhythmically against the shore. I was feeling good and getting lost in my thoughts. Whenever I run, I love listening to audiobooks or music. These things just feed my soul, and it's nice to be somewhere quiet for a while. As much as I love my roommates, it's nice to get some peace and quiet every now and then. I was so lost in my book that I didn't even realize I had veered off the path. When I looked up, I saw that I was on a part of the beach I had never been before. There were no houses or lights in sight. While my attention was caught up in the landscape, though, I failed to notice the object in my path. I stumbled and fell, hitting my head on something hard. Shining my flashlight towards the object, I discovered that it was a skeleton. And not just any skeleton. This one looked like it had been half buried in the sand. I scrambled to my feet, terror coursing through my veins. There must have been at least 10 skeletons lined up in a row. I had no idea what was going on, but I knew I needed to get out of there. I started running as fast as I could, but as I ran away from the line of skeletons in the sand, I felt a prickle on the back of my neck that caused me to turn around, looking behind me as I ran on the sand. As I did, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Around 10 yards behind me, I saw a dark and shadowy figure which was keeping pace with me, running slightly behind me and to my left. My heart was beating in my chest, so hard that I thought it might explode. I had no idea who or what was chasing me, but I knew I didn't want to find out. I sprinted as fast as my legs could carry me, finally making it back to an area of the beach that I recognized. Every time I looked behind me, though, I saw the shadowy figure was still there, running just a few steps behind me. I didn't know what to do or where to go. As the figure ran, I realized for some reason that I couldn't quite see its figure. It didn't make sense, since I'd always been incredible at night vision. The only thing I could think to do was run towards the nearest house and hope that someone would be home. The figure was still behind me as I pounded on the door of the house, screaming for help. Fortunately, someone must have heard me because the door opened and I fell into the house, panting and scared out of my mind. I looked back out the door to see if the figure was still there, but it was gone. Looking up, I saw the face of a kind but confused old lady who must have been the homeowner. I tried to explain what had happened, but I was so shaken up that I couldn't even form the words.
Someone was chasing me. I don't know. Someone was chasing me. It's okay, darling. You're safe now.
As I calmed down, I realized that I still had no idea what had happened. Who were those skeletons? And what was that shadowy figure that had been chasing me? As I sat shivering on her couch, however, I saw the old lady glance quickly toward her window located behind me. And as soon as I saw her eyes, I knew that whatever was out there, she had seen it too. She froze, her hand clasped at her chest, as I whirled around to see what had caught her attention. In the window, I saw the dark and shadowy figure, its eyes staring back at me from outside the window in the darkness of night. Whoever's eyes staring back at me weren't human. Maybe they were. Actually, I don't know. But but they were a golden, sort of sick yellow, and they were inhumanly large. As I stared back at them, I knew that this was the thing that had been chasing me. The old lady edged quietly near me, coming to a stand next to me as we both stared at the creature outside. It was just standing there, watching us with its eerie golden eyes. Right outside the window, the black figure stood, and it was the pure terror that I felt coursing through my veins as those eyes locked with mine. And then, it reached its hand out, its long and bony fingers clawing at the glass as if it wanted to come inside. The old lady grabbed my arm and pulled me away from the window. Her voice was shaking.
Get back, love! Now! What is it?
We shrunk back into the house as whatever it was continued clawing at the window, drawing with its long and bony fingers on the glass. When it was finished, a simple message read out on the window in a childlike scrawl. Run with me again. And like dust in the wind, the black figure gracefully leaped beyond the windowsill and was gone into the night. The old lady rushed to call the police, but they said that there was no trace of the creature by the time they arrived. I never went running on the beach at night again, and I never found out what those skeletons were, or what the shadowy figure was. But every time I close my eyes, I can still see its golden eyes staring back at me from the darkness. I think it wanted me to run with it one more time, but I don't like to think of what would happen after that. Maybe it just wanted to be friends, or maybe it wanted something more sinister. I'll never know for sure, but I do know that I never want to see it again. This happened a few weeks ago, but I'm having trouble processing the following events. I went for a solo trip to the Gulf of Mexico. I'm a huge outdoor sports fanatic. I've learned to swim by 4 and can operate any water vehicle, be it manual or automatic. Most of my trips are ocean-centric because I also have a knack for night fishing. Why at night? Because it's quiet and effective. Fishes eat the baits easily, and due to the peaceful ambiance, I can concentrate well. So, I drove to the beach, parked my car, and sat on the ocean with my canoe. Being the middle of winter, it was chilly. The temperature was hovering a few degrees above zero, but with the swirling wind, it felt colder. The water was calm, so I paddled my canoe to find a good spot near the rocky surfaces. The moon was shining bright that night. I had a torch in my helmet, but wasn't going to light it until it felt necessary. The moonlight made the surroundings visible. I brought a small flask filled with whiskey to keep me warm. The ocean was at its best behavior, so I thought to go out a little far. The trees were bowing down on the salty water. I was loving the solitude like the world was only mine at that moment. Just when I was starting to think, I saw a winding area going into the shore. I realized I had found a creek. Those who know about fishing can understand creeks are the best place to anchor your boat. Fishes gather in the creeks for night rest, hence there's enough possibility to catch some. Without wasting a single second, I row my canoe to the small creek. The sandy shore stood on both sides with trees and bushes guarding the area. I got down from the canoe and pulled it halfway to the shore. The boat was half on the water and half on the creek shore. I sat down facing my back to the trees and bushes and began fishing. I had been to many unknown islands and found secret beaches in the ocean while searching for fish, and all those places were secluded and stranded, but this particular creek was a little too quiet. The sounds of the ocean didn't reach this area. Generally, there'd always be some kind of night bird or insect presence to announce its existence, but here, it was a drop-dead silence. The air also felt a little too cold. I zipped my jacket and took a few sips of whiskey to adjust my body to the sudden drop in temperature. For the next 15 minutes, nothing happened. 2 times the fish caught the bait, but because of pulling the fishing rod too early, I lost it. I was preparing for the 3rd time when I suddenly heard a humming sound of a female voice. I quickly looked behind because it was unexpected. A woman singing in this stranded creek at this hour of the night was next to impossible. Her voice echoed, but I couldn't see her. I kept staring behind me, thinking she was walking on the shore and at some point will surface from the bushes, but that didn't happen. Suddenly, the humming stopped, and I felt a pull on the fishing rod. I turned my head to the front and saw a woman partially submerged in the water right, inches away from my canoe. Her body from the waist down was completely under the water, and I was shocked to see her resisting the cold. She wore a pink dress which had a big blood stain on the chest. Her disbelieving blonde hair was filled with mud and sand. She had a pale face with big grayish eyes and a sick smile. Seeing her was unexpected, so I forgot to speak for a while. Seeing me shocked and confused, she let out a weird chuckle.
Did you catch any?
I stuttered. No, not yet. Did she not understand how strange the entire scenario is? Why are you all right? I couldn't help but ask. She stopped smiling and then looked at the sky.
They're coming back again.
Who's coming? She didn't answer and just kept staring at me blankly. I asked again, "Ma'am, you need to get out of this cold water. How did you even end up here?"
I was dropped off.
Were you on some ship? Her face changed. She got sad and nodded her head from left to right.
My husband left me here last night.
You've been here since last night? She nodded her head up and down. I was stunned to know this. The fact that she had survived this cold weather without any food or water seemed so confusing to me. I was about to give her my hand so she could come out of the water and sit on my canoe when she suddenly started swimming to the other side of the creek. Ma'am, where are you going?
I need to protect. I must protect. They're coming back.
She hovered into the bushes, 1 foot bare, while the other wore a bloody yellow stiletto. She could barely walk wearing 1 shoe. As soon as she disappeared into the bushes, I saw a flock of night birds, probably crows, flying above. They were all heading to the same side of the creek where the woman went. I couldn't sit and wait anymore. I too got out of the boat and swam to the other side to follow the woman. I could hear the cawing of the crows from across. They were hoarsely grunting and screaming, which felt pretty mysterious. I know a thing or two about animal behavior, and I was certain that this was something the flock of birds had found on this island. Soon, in 5 minutes, I discovered them. Under a tall palm tree, the crows had gathered. They were sitting on something lying on the sand and feeding off it. Flesh and strings of meat were hanging from their beak. A foul stench was choking the air. It was only surprising that a reeking smell like this didn't reach me all this time. For the first time, I turned on the flashlight attached to my helmet, and what I saw made my heart flung to my throat. The crows were feasting on a dead body. I could only see the feet of the dead body, which were enough for me to understand who it belonged to. 1 foot was bare, while the other had a bloody yellow stiletto on it. I felt like fainting. I wanted to scream, but my voice died down. Suddenly, a translucent apparition of the woman I had just met appeared in the air. I couldn't spot her face, but I did see her glowing eyes. She slowly lifted her hand and pointed at the morbid feasting of the night crows. A rolling sound of painful sobbing echoed all over the creek, and I couldn't take it anymore. I ran back to my canoe, didn't bother to take my fishing rod, and rowed back to the beach. I don't remember how I mastered the courage to come back, but once I did, I went straight to the local police station. I reported about finding the dead body. I had to go back with them to help them identify the exact area. The story unfolded that a man murdered his wife and dropped her body in the stranded creek to get rid of it. The rotting body attracted insects and animals, hence being discovered in a mutilated condition. I never saw that woman again. Now, I realize the underlying meaning of the woman's words, that she was dropped off after her husband killed her. Her tormented spirit couldn't leave the body because she wanted to protect it from the flock of crows. All she wanted was to be found. The fact that I accidentally ended up going to the same creek where people hardly go is nothing but a coincidence. But one thing is sure, I am never going to the ocean at night, ever again.
Normally, going to the beach with friends is a moment of fun and joy. The last time I went to the beach, all the problems I had at home vanished. It was as if I was just there to enjoy the moment and nothing else. None of us ever could have imagined that we might have had too much fun. That lowering our defenses and allowing ourselves to behave like children would make us have the worst time of our lives. And for some of my friends, the last ones. The vacation had started well. It was the first time we went on vacation together, but we had known each other all of our lives, so you can imagine how excited we were. The first day we spent having fun on the beach. This beach was paradisical, and best of all, it was hidden behind some hills, so only a few people went there. Several policemen were guarding the beach, as it was said that by walking a few meters, you reached private property. As much as we had a great time for the first day, the spicy part came the next day when we planned to explore the beach at night and see that famous hidden place.
Hey, get the sunscreen out of the backpack. I don't have room for towels.
We need the sunscreen. We'll be going through the Sierras during the daytime.
But we'll also need the water towels.
Hey, do you want to keep the towels in my backpack? It's empty.
Cool, man.
How are we gonna do this?
Simple. We climb the Sierras in the afternoon, hide after dark, and with our awesome spy skills evade the cops and get into the private part. What do you think?
Seems like a plan.
Excellent.
Hey, Randy, are you even paying attention? Put that movie down and pay attention to me.
Dude, I'll just follow you guys. I've never seen Jason's movie before. It's terrifying.
Overrated. Hell no, this man is brutal.
Anyway, let's leave in the afternoon. Be ready.
Once the afternoon arrived, we were all anxious and full of anticipation. We quickly overcame the Sierras, and when it was already dark, we arrived at the beach. We didn't care what would happen if the police saw us. We were simply so excited that regardless of the consequences, we went. Once on the beach, we began to sneak around the various decorations. To our surprise, the deeper we went, the more and more police we saw. They all seemed to be concentrating, which surprised us. The owner of the beach surely didn't want anyone to enter. We kept going until suddenly the cops were replaced by warning signs. Warnings of what? Were there dangerous animals? I remember how my friends didn't seem to care, but to me, it seemed very strange that from one second to the next, there were no more cops.
Hey, it looks like it's clear here.
It seems that the owner of the beach didn't even want his policemen. Why's that?
Surely there's treasure here.
If it's a treasure, it must be rotten. Can you smell that?
Oh, wow, you're right. Ugh, smells like a dead animal.
Hey guys, look! A little beach house.
Hell yeah!
We went to the beach house, and to our surprise, it had light. The place looked comfortable, but kind of abandoned. There were a lot of plans and tools that hadn't been used in a long time. Who lived here? My thoughts were interrupted when suddenly, a scream terrified us all.
Ah! What the hell, man?
Randy, what's wrong with you?
Guys, we have to get out of here now!
Are there cops? My God, why did you scream? They'll know we're here.
No, there are no cops.
Is it an animal?
No,
God, drama queen, tell us what you saw.
I saw Jason Voorhees.
Okay.
Nice one.
Hey, he's really crying. Have you lost your mind? There's nothing here. Ah! It's Jason! This can't be. Someone must be in disguise.
With enormous force, the monster punched the window, which exploded. Once in the light, we got a better look at him. It was an exact copy of Jason Voorhees.
No, Larry! You killed him, you psycho!
You know what? Jason doesn't exist. Friday the 13th is just a movie.
Fueled by anger over the death of her boyfriend, Angela grabbed a heavy tool from the table and ran to Jason. Despite being the only woman in the group, Angela was without a doubt the strongest of us all. She trained day and night to one day fulfill her dream of going to the Olympics as a swimmer. Unfortunately, all that strength was in vain, as after hitting Jason's head, she was barely able to move his head a few inches. After that, making Angela start walking backward, terrified.
Guys, this is not a normal man.
No, Andrew, we must get out of here. But Angela, she's dead. And we'll die if we leave.
Listening to us talk, Jason threw Angela's corpse and walked slowly towards us. In desperation, Ralph ran and tried to evade him, but he also grabbed him by the neck.
No!
But I wasn't about to let another one of my friends die. With all my energy, I rammed Jason and got him to let go of Ralph, who just ran. Furious, Jason gave me a slap that threw me out the window. I couldn't believe the force of the blow. It was as if I had been hit by a car. Dizzy, I ran after Ralph. We were making our escape, but suddenly, the machete with which Jason had killed Larry flew past me. For just a second, I thought I had missed him, but I looked ahead. He didn't. The machete was embedded in Ralph's head, who fell to the ground. Unable to do anything, I kept running as fast as I could. Jason just stood there, watching me run. Meanwhile, I ran and ran. All I could do was cry and scream, as the thought of my friends being dead started to creep into my head. I kept running until I saw a policeman, and instead of helping me, he punched me in the face. After that, everything went black.
Hey, you finally woke up, kid. Jason, he killed my friends. Get off the beach!
So, you saw Jason, right?
Yes, you have to believe me. All my friends are still on that beach. Boy, there's no such thing as Jason. I know it sounds unbelievable, but there is no Jason, kid. You all went into a section of the beach full of toxic waste. We have cameras in the shack and in different parts of the beach. All your friends are dead, but not because of Jason. Impossible. We all saw it. No, they were all hallucinating. They were all drugged. We saw the footage. The blonde guy started screaming in desperation that he saw Jason, and everyone started hallucinating with them. The couple ran towards the sea and drowned, while the blonde stumbled while running and hit his head on a rock. This can't be. How could there be toxic waste on a beach? This is what we wanted to talk to you about, kid. We trust you to keep it a secret. Our boss is very secretive. No way! People need to know about this! I'll tell you as nicely as I can, kid. Breathing in that toxic waste without protection wasn't the best idea you ever had. So don't expect to live a very long life. But if you say anything in the rest of your life, your mom, your dad, your sister, your granny, your dog, they'll all die. Do you understand? You're not cops, are you? Looks like you're catching on, kid. We'll be watching you.
That was the last time I saw those cops. From that day on, I never made new friends or paired up again. I felt I would expose innocent people. A few days ago, I started coughing up blood. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, but I know what this means. I know what my friends and I did was wrong, but none of us deserved this. I looked for meaning in everything that happened, but I only came to one conclusion. Life is unfair. The only advice I can give is to stay out of trouble, because you never know if one little mischief might be the last.